Thank you.
Okay, for life.
Okay, thank you. Welcome to the Planning Board of Irvington. It's the October 4th, 2023 meeting, and we're going to get started. We're not going to do the minutes tonight because they're not available yet. We'll do 2 minutes in November. I just want to thank everybody who's involved with Rocktoberfest. You know, from the guys who kept the place clean up to Joe Archino, who probably ran the whole thing or set it all up. Probably a lot of people, the rec department tonight, and a whole bunch of people. It was fabulous. And if you weren't there, something's wrong with you. And the bridge was green that night, thanks to Brian. Okay, the order for tonight. Number 1, 54 Jaffrey Court. Number 2, 30 South Ferris Street. Number 3, 123 Main Street. Number 4, 15 Hendrick Lane South. Number 5, 39 Beechwood Road. Number 6, 34 Lewis Road. Number 7, 35 Main Street. Number 8, 10 Half Moon Lane. Number 9, 84 Fargo. Number 10, 90 Fargo. And number 11, 26 South Ferris Street. Okay, let's get started with number 1. Number 1 was 2023-24, 54 Jaffrey Court.
If you're here to represent the applicant, you can just hit the raise hand button, please. Nobody's raising their hand.
Next month.
Nobody, well. Oh, no, thank you. Nobody answering?
No.
All right, before we go to number 2, I neglected, I was so wrapped up in Rocktoberfest, I forgot to introduce the village representatives tonight.
Not okay, that's more important.
Sarah Palermo on the gatekeeper for the computer. He's Ed Marin, the building inspector. Doug Hahn, the consultant engineer for the village. Marianne Stessage, the village attorney. Lori Davidowitz on the board. Dan McGillicott on the board. Caesar Manfredi, chairman. And Mike Smith. Mike Bufuco is absent. I'm sure he'll be here in a little while. Okay, we're going to skip number 1. We'll come back to it if they show up. And go to number 2, 2023-23, 30 South Ferris Street.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for your time tonight. My name is Rob Jones. I'm the architect and homeowner at 30 South Ferris Street. I know this is a continuation from last month's meeting, so I just wanted to ask you guys how you typically go about that. Should I jump into the revisions, or how would you guys like to proceed?
Go into the revisions.
Okay, sounds good. So I'll go ahead and share my screen.
Mike, you coming?
All right, so we have the drawing set in front of you. Some of the revisions were general in nature, adding notes to our general notes section, and then also addressing the lighting requirements for the project.
Excuse me 1 second. That was
Yes.
Mike. He was stuck at the airport, but he missed flight. He was waiting for his wife, but he can join us by Zoom. Can you manipulate that, sir?
We don't need them.
Oh, we don't need him. Okay,
Yeah.
forget about it.
Well,
Send him a message that just take care of everything. Don't worry about
yeah,
it.
just don't, yeah.
I'm sorry. One of our members is
It's fine.
tied up in the airport. Snafu. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. Yeah, so I'll just go through the set left to right. And so the lighting requirements were updated for this project, as noted in the engineer's comments. The view preservation overlay district note has been added, noting that,
Why don't you
noting,
show us what,
I'm sorry,
show us what you did for view preservation?
will do. So the note that I've added for view preservation, let me see if I can get this better view for you guys here.
We can see it.
Okay. So I just noted that the proposed improvements to 30 South Fair Street are located in the Village of Irvington's View Preservation Overlay District. As a licensed professional, I can verify that the proposed improvements will be consistent with the goals of the Village of Irvington's View Preservation Overlay District, and that it will not have any negative impacts on Hudson River views. And the reason behind that is because in their entirety, the proposed improvements will be located behind/west of the existing residence and will not obstruct any existing east to west views of the Hudson River. Additionally, the proposed improvements will be designed to blend in with the surrounding environment and will not create any new visual clutter.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead.
And my drawings and elevations that we take a look at here in a minute, they will kind of show that how that works and how the there's really no view obstructed.
Okay, go ahead. Do that.
All right, no problem. Yeah, we can jump. So just looking at our site plan. So here is the area of work. You can see the limits of construction. Oh, apologies. The limits of construction for the project have the, and this is north, south, east, and west aligned on the axis. The entirety of the scope of work is within the envelope of the existing residence. So in plan, you can kind of see how that stops short of the north and south walls. And then in elevation, you'll see how that from this view, the construction is within the envelope of the existing residence itself, not obstructing any views from east to west, like I stated in the note.
Right, okay, thank you.
Not a problem. I'm going to jump back to the front page, and some general notes were also added for the construction sequence. This is just a projected construction sequence that I've worked with a few GCs. We're still in the selection phase, so this is our projected construction sequence for the project. The project stats were updated to show lot coverage calculations. The existing lot coverage being 1,394. Our proposed lot coverage is actually reduced at 1,295, and that's a 7.1% reduction in lot coverage.
You were supposed to fix the FAR numbers too.
And those are both fixed, so I can actually jump to 103, our lot coverage diagrams. As you can see, our clouded notes highlight the changes. The lot coverage has been updated to reflect the stone wall and the retaining wall on the left side of the page and on the west side of the property. And so these numbers have been updated to reflect that in lot coverage. And then in addition, the FAR numbers have been updated as well to remove the basement from the calculations per the engineer.
Ed, Doug, we're all set?
Yep.
Yeah, what was the reduction in coverage? What was it?
The reduction in coverage was 7% for a total of 7% for about 100 square feet, 99 square foot reduction. I'm sorry, no, 101 square feet reduction.
Hey, Doug?
Yep.
Okay, you're in the historic district in a contributing building, but you don't have enough demolition to require special attention.
Okay, noted.
What's your construction? How are you getting them back there to do all your work?
Yeah, so that is something that we would work out with our general contractor. And really the only way to do it would be by hand digging and bringing equipment back by hand. There's really no other way to go about bringing equipment back to the backyard without removing fences and going through a neighbor's driveway at 34 South Ferris. So, and then we would prefer not to go that route, obviously. So we would need to work out hand digging and equipment that could be brought back to the backyard.
Okay, thank you.
And the fill will be removed from the property, not spread out in the backyard.
That's correct. Yeah, the fill would be removed from the property. That's right. All right, so then the drawing index is also updated to include a site survey and zoning table. So I'll just jump to this page. V101 has been added. This includes our site survey of the property as noted by Scalise Land Surveying. And then the zoning table I just grabbed from the sheet provided by the Village of Irvington, and was hoping that would suffice for that. And I think it provides the information that we need.
Yes, it was fine.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay,
So the building inspector notes were added per the engineer. These are straightforward and copied straight from the engineer's notes. And then we've added the surveyor's contact information also per the comments from the engineer.
okay, thank you.
No problem.
Any comments, Lori?
No comment.
Dan?
No comments. No comments.
And I have no comments. Sarah, anything from the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Mary Ann, do you have a resolution for this?
Whereas in September 2023, Robert Jones and Kelsey Brazo applied for site development plan approval to demolish an existing deck and construct a new partially enclosed deck and stairs on their house at 30 South Ferris Street, which is located in the View Preservation District and is a contributing building in the Historic District. And whereas the proposed construction requires variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals for coverage, FAR, and encroachment into the side yards. And whereas Hunt Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated September 5th listed a number of issues which were addressed in a subsequent submission. Whereas the planning board held a public hearing on the application on September 6th and October 4th. The proposed construction does not constitute demolition under 224-197 of the Village Code. Proposed improvements would not negatively impact the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties. Type 2 action under SECRA and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Brazel Jones Residence Deck Remodel prepared by Robert Anthony Jones III. And the drawings are specified. Subject to one, receiving variances from the ZBA for coverage, FAR, and side yard setbacks, and two, complying with Han's October 3rd, 2023 memorandum.
Okay, thank you. Any questions on the resolution? Board,
No questions.
I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, thank you. You have your resolution and good luck with the construction.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the evening.
I understand number one has returned to the Zoom. Sarah, is he there? Okay, we're doing number one, 2023-24, 54 Jaffrey Court.
Sorry about that. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
Great.
we've added a bunch of stuff while you weren't here.
I love it. So I was just looking at the agenda and I thought I was number 4, so I'm sorry I was late. I apologize for that. So I'm not sure if you had a moment to go through the engineer comments, but it seems like we've addressed all of the concerns from the engineer and the landscape architect. We've added the notes that they're requested. I would definitely like to, either go through the plans, or if you have any questions, happy to answer.
There's certain things we have to cover. One of which is the view preservation, which you're in the district.
Yep.
If you can just go over that.
Sure, sure. We're really not,
Groundwork,
We're-
but we need to address it for the record.
absolutely. So for the record, my name is Dean Pushler, landscape architect, for 54 Jaffrey Court. So we're really not doing any new construction that would affect the view corridor. The existing deck, which is at elevation 3 above existing grade, is going to be lowered, so that's not going to impact any views. There's an existing fence around the property that's 6 feet high, and we're replacing that in kind with a 6-foot fence. We are proposing some landscaping. The landscaping will be lower than the landscaping that we're replacing. So there will essentially be no negative impact to the view preservation corridor.
Okay, thank you. You have trees coming down on village property. That's not for us to decide. You need to get approval from the village, and they usually require a tree replacement plan. There's the tree committee in the village.
Right, correct. And so I understand I have to apply for that application and go through their process and meet whatever requirements they need.
And you had steps on village property. They were taken out.
Yeah, so those steps were removed. The trees that we had initially located in the right of way, we pulled those back onto our property.
And we got a letter from Mr. Ferguson concerning the historical nature. It's not in the historic district of the village, but it does have historical credentials. And the building is not being touched. This is just groundwork. So I think that we're okay in preserving the historical nature of the building.
That's correct. For the record, we're not affecting the building proper. It's really the rear deck and the patio that we're proposing.
The property happens to be in the open space inventory, and that's going to be covered in the resolution that has been prepared for this property. Okay, I think that's everything I had. You have anything else there?
I do not. I do not.
Lori,
No comments.
Dan,
I have no comments.
I have no further comments.
No comments.
Sarah,
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
okay, Mary Ann, do you have a resolution for this property?
Whereas,
Applicant,
whereas in September 2023, Jason Choi and Sunny King applied for site development plan approval to remove a deck and construct a patio and steps at their property at 54 Jeffrey Court, which is located in the View Preservation District and is listed on the open space inventory map. And where Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape consultant, prepared an open space report which concluded that the proposed modifications, quote, will not alter the character of the property and that there appear to be no adverse impacts to the open space function the property performs. And whereas in a memorandum dated September 1st, 2023, Nolan reviewed the site plan and made a number of comments which were addressed in a subsequent submission. And Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated September 5th listed a number of issues which were addressed in a subsequent submission. And whereas the Irvington Historical Society Preservation Committee wrote to the planning board to advise that the 54 Jaffrey Court is listed on the Westchester County Inventory of Historic Places, but nothing in this application will change the front of the house. And whereas the planning board held a public hearing on the application on September 6th and October 4th, and was proposed improvements would not negatively impact the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties. It's a type 2 action under SEQA and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Choi King Residence prepared by Dean Pushlar. And the drawings are specified subject to 1, complying with the item in the Han memo dated October 3rd, 2023, and 2, complying with the item in the Nolan memo also dated October 3rd, 2023.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, thank you very much and good luck with that.
Thank you, members.
Moving on to number 3, 2023-22. That would be 123 Main Street.
If you're here to
Our architect will be presenting,
Oh, okay,
but we have a backup for this as well.
okay.
If you're the representative
You can
for this
sit.
application, please hit the raise hand button.
You only have to come up if you're going to speak.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
He's there.
You should, oh,
he's
on there, yeah, it should have friends.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi, I'm Mark Fritz, the architect, working with Lauren Stone on her property. And I guess we are reviewing what we had previously reviewed in regards to site drainage from the actually basement drainage on the property.
Yes, why don't you go over that?
Okay, let me just, I just have to share my screen. Everybody see that?
We see it, but it's microscopic.
There's a lot of colorful background as well.
Oh, okay, hold on.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you can highlight the.
That better?
That's much better. It was very
Okay, sorry
colorful.
about that. Couple monitors, so bear with me. So essentially what's happening is Lauren has had major water infiltration into the basement area. And basically what's happening is working with Connecticut Basements, who she hired, they came up with a system to get the water out of the basement, but we have to have a place to put it. So that's where I got involved in dealing with the recharger chambers, which are here on the property. And basically through a 4-inch schedule 40 pipe, once it exits the house at this point, it'll discharge into the units. It's strictly because of water in the basement. Along with that, we've addressed where all our utilities are on the property, where the existing leaders and downspouts are on the property. This one is actually to a spill block. This one over here is also to a spill block. And this one on the front corner is actually connected to the town storm system. And the same thing here at this front corner on Main Street, it's connected to it as well. So those exist, that's all existing. And all we're essentially proposing here is the Coltex in the rear yard.
And we had a little issue with the location.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
supposed to be-
10
must
feet
be
away
10
from a building, which we don't have a
You're not-
spot. It's 10 feet
you're
away
within-
from everything.
But you're within 10 feet of the neighbor. We'd rather you be closer to your building than the neighbor's.
Which
building.
is fine. I mean, we can pull it toward our building, so it's 10 feet away from the neighbor. That was one of the things I was gonna suggest. But obviously, you know, that's what the meeting's for.
So it's in the we have a resolution. It's in the resolution that you need to make it
Mhm.
10 feet from the neighbor, and so if he
That's
gets back
fine.
into the, just be pumped back out again.
Mhm.
All right, it's in a view preservation district, and again, this is all groundwork, but you have a statement, or it should be addressed because it's in the view preservation. Did you go over that?
I'm sorry,
Do
say
you
that
have any-
again?
The view preservation district, you're in it. I doubt
Yes.
any, is there something in your presentation that addresses the view presentation? I have my notes here and I think we asked for it.
I think they did.
I
include
mean,
that on
essentially,
there.
we're not doing any work above grade. It's
hold on a
all,
second.
and the
think-
buildings exist.
hold on a
So
second.
what we're doing
Hold
is subsurface.
Doug,
I was gonna say, he did mention in his letter that it wasn't affecting the view preservation.
Okay, so he did address it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And you're in the historic district and it's a contributing building, but you're not touching the building.
Correct.
Uh,
Just trying to keep it dry.
okay. Any comments from the board?
No comments.
No comment, Mike?
No comments.
Any comment, public? Sarah?
No, nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Did the owners want to say something?
No, I was gonna just address your comment, just make it easier. That's it.
Thank you. I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
I didn't read it
I
yet.
haven't read it yet.
Rushing things along.
I like that.
Sarah's sick and she wants to go home early.
Okay. In July 2023, Warren Stone and Keith Greenbaum applied for site development plan approval to repair a deck and legalize a patio and install related stormwater improvements to their property at 123 Main Street, which is located in the View Preservation District and is a contributing building in the Historic District. And whereas none of the requested improvements constitute demolition under the village zoning code, and whereas James Wahan Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated July 31st listed a number of issues, most of which were addressed in a subsequent submission. And whereas the planning board held a public hearing on the application on August 2nd and October 4th, and whereas the proposed improvements would not negatively impact the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties. Type 2 action under secret and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled 123 Main Street, prepared by Mark Fritz Architects. The sheets are denoted, subject to 1, complying with Hans October 3rd, 2023 memorandum, and 2, locating the Caltech unit 10 feet from the neighbor's building.
Okay, thank you. Make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second,
Lori?
Approved.
approved,
Approved.
approved.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with that.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys.
Moving to number 4, 2023-21, 15 Hendrick Lane South.
You're representing the application. Can you please hit the raise hand button?
Good evening. My name is Gene Vitrano. I'm with Site Design Consultants.
We're not
And I'm
seeing-
here.
Oh, there you go.
Hey,
Okay,
see me? Thank you. I'm with Site Design Consultants here for the Luthras. This is our third appearance before the planning board. We have revised our drawings and also revised 2 of our forms, FAR and coverage. I'll go, let me see if I can share my screen. Can you see the screen or no?
yes,
You can. All right.
Blow it up. a little bit.
Second, if I may. Share screen. Two. Can you see it now? Can you see the whole sheet?
We can see the sheet, but it's rather small.
Well, I'll start zooming in. I just want to make sure you can see the sheet. Right? Can you see it now? Can you see the,
Right.
yes?
Yes.
All right. We addressed all of the issues on our second review comment sheet from Doug Hahn. They had a problem with the clarity of the survey dated 2009 by Riley, so we were able to get an updated copy of that. This is the survey of the property at 2009. We identified the wooden deck that was existing at the time to be removed. We provided an updated survey site plan. We clarified site access. We clarified storage and stockpile area, which was not going to be on site. We clarified and hatched the sunroom addition. We also noted the amounts of excavation, and we noted on the plan also that all excavation would be done by hand. That was on the original submission. We also clarified site access and removal of all excavated material from the site so that nothing would be stored there. You did see the aerial photo the last time, and I'll refer back to this when I go to the topography and sight line from Broadway to the Hudson River. Doug Hahn did not request that, but you as the board requested that at our last meeting. So we provided a topography from Broadway to the Hudson River. This is all Columbia University land. This is the existing I apologize, Lutheran property. This is the proposed addition. And again, I want to go back to the aerial photo. Let me zoom in on this if I can. So as you could see, there is a canopy that's anywhere from 30 to 40 feet high, pretty much on most of the property from Broadway past the Lutheran's home to the Hudson River. And what we did is we also provided a profile, right? This is center line of Broadway is here. The elevation of Broadway at that point is 182 feet. The elevation at the rear of our proposed addition is at 72 feet. And obviously the elevation at the river is at 0. The proposed addition is 18 feet high. So in essence, it's below, we plotted in an imaginary canopy line at 30 feet high, and it's below that canopy line. And again, if we refer back to the aerial photo, right, we can see all the trees that exist behind looking east from the Lutheran's backyard. I also have some photos. I had presented these the last meeting, and you asked me to provide you with the centerline profile and the contours. These are the trees that pretty much go up to the Columbia property. That's looking from in front of the rock garden fountain to behind the Lutheran's home. This is looking northeast, and this is looking due east from the proposed addition. We added a proposed work sequence. Let's see what else. Let me go back if I may. Let me go back here. We were requested to do a site map or site plan and coverage calculations of what existed in 2009. We also provided a new coverage calculation, including the fountain and rock garden that was never legalized, and the shed that's on an existing concrete pad. So we are asking for an increase of coverage of 378 feet from what is there now, which is it's 7.6% greater than what is existing. Let me go down to We had to resubmit the FAR worksheet, which was done. We had to clarify item C on sheet 2 of 6 to yes. And we had initially submitted this in the 920 submission, our new coverage and lot size. I received a notification from Hunt Engineering today that this wasn't submitted, but I went through my file. It was submitted, so I resubmitted this again. I emailed this both to Ed and Doug this afternoon, clarifying the coverage, which matches the calculations on sheet 2, which is those calculations. I believe we addressed everything else that Hunt Engineering wanted. We clarified setback, building envelope, the minimal excavation at the sunroom. It's only 4 piers, so 4 yards are going to be excavated, but by the time you backfill around the 4 piers, there's probably less than 3 yards of material that's going to be removed from the site. I think that's it. I think I addressed everything you had asked for.
Ed and Doug, the coverage and FAR is fine.
Coverage is good. Far is
Yes.
good.
And you certainly addressed the view preservation district issues. By the way, you mentioned this is the third meeting, and we needed a third meeting because you didn't answer all the questions in the second meeting.
No, I didn't. No,
regarding-
I just said that it was my third meeting. I know that. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
No, I
saying
just,
that we needed a third meeting because you didn't address the coverage issues in the second meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, any questions, Lori?
No questions.
No question.
No questions.
Anything from the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, Mary Ann, I'll have a resolution.
Whereas in July 2023, Jasmine DeLuthera applied for site development plan approval to demolish a deck and construct a sunroom on his house at 1500 Lane South, which lies in the View Preservation District. Whereas the application was revised to seek approval of a number of undocumented items on the site, and was proposed construction exceeds permitted coverage, and the existing shed is located within the side yard setback, therefore requiring variances from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Whereas Hunt Engineering reviewed the plans and in memoranda dated June 30th and September 1st listed a number of issues which were addressed in a subsequent submission. Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape consultant, reviewed the plans and made a number of recommendations which were satisfied in a subsequent submission. Planning Board held a public hearing on the application on July 5th, September 6th, and October 4th. The proposed improvements would not negatively impact the view of the Hudson River from neighboring properties. The action's type 2 action under secret and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Dr. and Mrs. J. Luthera, prepared by Site Design Consultants. The sheets are specified subject to receiving variances from the ZBA for coverage in the side yard setback.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Make a motion to approve the resolution as read. Lauren, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Okay, we're all set. Thank you very much.
thank you all for your time and assistance. I appreciate it.
Number 5, 2022-04, 39 Beechwood Road.
Hello,
Hi, John.
Ferguson Lawn Architecture representing the Larks. Caesar, would you like me to go through the changes or the request that we made?
Yeah, the question from last meeting was we couldn't tell what was previously approved and exactly what the changes were. So if you
Yeah,
could just
I
go
can
through.
that quickly. So, So we, in our response this month, we went through and detailed the changes that were made from the previously approved plan. They included I can go through it in the drawing set if you want, that might be better. So they included the, oops. A slight modification of this pool wall here, this retaining wall associated with the pool. If you can see my cursor, it moved about 18 inches and is a slightly longer in this end. That resulted in additional coverage of about 12 square feet. The pool in general has been reduced in size by about 43 square feet to offset that increase. There was a proposed walk on the side of the house here, connecting a side door to this patio area. That walk has been replaced by a stair that goes down to the basement level, and at the basement level there's a pool changing room. That stair added coverage of about 17 square feet, again, but was offset by the pool reduction. There's a window well on this side of the building that now that the basement has direct access to the outside. That window well has been eliminated with a reduction of 9 square feet. The house footprint has been modified slightly. So there's a section right here, which I can show you in the plan. If you look at the existing house, there's a recess in this area. And the proposed plan now fills in that recess. So there's a change in here, so that there's a slight change in the footprint here, and that change in the footprint is about 13 square feet. We counted the overhang of the cantilevered second floor, so it's actually more. I think the note says it's 24 square feet total. The rear patio, which is back here, has been reduced in size slightly. It's only very slightly. It's like a reduction of 2 square feet. The roof deck over the patio has been expanded. This roof deck that is shown on the next level had only covered part of the patio, and now it covers a little bit more. So it has no effect on coverage because the patio has not changed. A propane tank has been added to due to the Con Ed moratorium. So we've located that propane tank here. Oops, what happened? Okay. We've added that propane tank, which is located here in the rear yard, and then we provided a detail for the propane tank here, which was requested. There has been some grading changes, but they are very minor, associated with the pool layout. That is shown here on the civil. There's been a slight change to the grading in this area for the pool, but we don't think it has any impact. Also, in terms of responding to, so that was the list that we provided, and then in terms of responding to the comments that we did receive from Hans, the zoning analysis, you asked to have a previously approved analysis indicated. So you'll see here the existing building is shown in this line. The previously approved was 3996. This is 3996, a slight reduction of a few square feet. This is actually an area where you can see the footprint change. There was a little recess in this area here, is now filled in. The stone retaining wall detail that was shown in our site details.
John, you went over that net change in coverage, and it wasn't clear to me. What was the net change? What are all the subtractions and additions? What's the net change in coverage?
The net change is a reduction of, hold on a second, let me get that. Sorry, I don't misspeak.
Not an increase, or it's a reduction?
It's a reduction of 17 square feet. So not
reduction from what was previously approved?
Yes, so not significant, but a 17 square foot reduction.
Okay, thank you.
And then the next item was there's a retaining wall that we had detailed that did not include weeps. We've added weeps to that retaining wall detail, which is right over here. So weeps have been added. And beyond that, there was a stormwater management plan narrative that has been revised that we submitted. There was a few typos in that plan that have been corrected. One had to do with the a reference that was referencing the wrong New York State DEC reference, and then there was also a typo on complex numbers. Both of those have been picked up. The propane tank that we just showed you was actually a note that we received from Han. So the propane tank details. So I think we've addressed all the Han details, and we've sort of described the changes that happened from the previously approved in more detail.
Okay, thank you. Ed, do they get the permit for there's a permit for the propane tank,
It's part of the building permit application.
so that'll come later.
Yeah.
Okay. And you do know your ZBA previous zoning board approval expired because this change is greater than a year. So you're gonna
Right.
need to go back to them,
Right.
John?
Yes, we'll submit on Tuesday.
Okay. And we got a letter from Mr. O'Shea concerning drainage. Doug Hahn took another, and the landscape architect took another look at the drainage. Even though it was previously approved, I'm sure we looked at it the first time. Doug, you looked at it again.
Yeah, we didn't have any issues with the way that was graded or pitched. It seemed,
And Suzanne seemed to be happy with it too.
yeah, she didn't have any comments either.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
No questions.
No further questions, Mike?
I have no questions.
Hold on.
On the.
Anything from the public, please?
Just
I wrote the letter.
First, please identify yourself and your
Okay,
address.
I'm Dan O'Shea, 37 Beechwood Road. Longtime resident of Irvington. There's two things I wrote about. One is the drainage, especially towards the front. As the house is going to come out.
So, could you just hold 1 second?
Sure.
John, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him, and we can show how we address some of his concerns.
Yeah, if you could bring up the grading plan.
Bring up the plan so we can see what he's talking about.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike.
And zoom in.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. O'Shea.
Okay. So in the front, well, the side, the property is on a turn on Beechwood Road. So the Larks are more of a rectangular lot. I have somewhat of on the right side of the property, it's a pizza shape kind of, and then it's a rectangle shape. So it kind of comes back, and it's on a hill. So there's a lot of water that comes in already from the back, from the side here, especially towards the front, because there's a narrow walkway in between the the apple trees and the house. And there's a fair amount of water that runs off of that. The other thing I'm more concerned about too is this turnbuckle, right?
Excuse me?
The turnbuckle and the driveway.
Okay.
I did read it correct, right? The drawings?
Yeah, there's a catch basin that's gonna collect it and go into a dry well in that corner, so that the runoff is gonna be directed to that, and then there's gonna be a curb around the whole thing. So it's gonna be directed into the catch basin, into the dry well.
Okay, now, that's good to know. The other part of this is that when I walk out my front door, I have to make a left-hand turn and walk parallel to the house, to the driveway to get the car. I'm gonna be looking at this. Sorry, I'm gonna be looking at the turnbuckle. Right, like dead on into this turnbuckle. Right? So why is there, I asked the question is of turnbuckle, the value of a turnbuckle last week, I think it was Harriman Road. the person wanted to put in a turn in their driveway to be able to back out and then to go out to the front end out. I don't see any difference in that to this, in that their property is forward facing to the street.
And turnbuckle, that's, it comes out of the ground. The turnaround, yeah, but it's just paying additional asphalt, so it's just additional asphalt on the ground.
Yeah, he's calling the turnaround. It's just not, it's flat on the ground.
It doesn't come off the ground.
It's
There's
on a
no,
hill.
all it is that a little place to turn around.
But how far does it come out? The driveway's already coming out 2 feet.
How far from the property line is it? John,
How much closer? Property.
I don't have the drawings that are measured here. I think it looks to me like it's about 6 feet from the property line.
you have any plantings there, John?
We didn't add plantings there. This is the condition that's there now. And you can see the property line that is there now.
So the neighbor's property is higher?
The neighbor's property is higher in the rear here. The turnbuckle would be 6 feet from that property line approximately, so it's out in this area of the lawn.
Yours, sir, or?
Those are my trees.
Okay.
And so this is kind of a generous shot. It makes it look wider than what I would say, but the driveway's already going to come out, I think, 2 feet. And then on top of that, then you have the turnbuckle, or I call it turnbuckle, you're calling it a.
That's fine. We got it.
Okay.
It's good.
So then that comes out even further, closer to the trees. And as I walk down that path, it's kind of an eyesore. I think it detracts from my property value.
I think just to jump,
The microphone is for
Sure.
we have a
Sure.
transcriber for that.
Okay. Sure, repeat myself. Okay.
We'll get it, it's film.
I think just to jump in, the distance
Yes.
from the property line to the existing driveway on this property is similar. I think our turnbuckle is probably, similar to that in terms of its overall distance. I don't think it's closer to the property line necessarily.
Could you sketch out the property line and the proposed driveway change with your cursor?
Yeah, so the property line there's one, let me see if I can actually draw. Hold on 1 second.
Is that stake for gas or is that a property line?
That's the property line. So the property line is here. You can see that between these two stakes. And then our driveway,
Left side of that picture is your property, Mr. O'Shea?
Correct.
yeah, this side is the neighbor, this is the subject property. And we're about 6 feet, I think our turnback, I can't tell where it is exactly relative to this, but it would be about at least 6 feet off.
Well, you're going 6 feet from the tree, but is it 6 feet from the tree or from the
Property
property line?
Property line, not from the tree. So I think, these trees are already closer to, they're on their property, it's closer to pavement than the new driveway would be to.
You etched in where the driveway would be.
Yeah.
John, is it possible to add some low, can't put big trees in because the cars will hit them, but some low plantings
Some
to
shrubs.
soften the hardscape?
Yeah, I think that's fine. If we could just
Maybe sit with Susan Nolan so that you guys pick the proper ones?
yeah, we can
Not
coordinate.
tall, I'm not talking too tall because then that's another problem for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does that help you?
Maybe some
I think so.
andrometers.
Yeah, they're entitled to the parking lot, so we're just trying to get a happy medium.
Yeah.
Some,
I'm sorry, the turnaround.
okay.
Anything else?
That's it. It's really those two. It's the drainage and
Great.
this turn.
I think we got it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
for coming out.
Thanks.
Mary Ann, did you
You guys
add
get
something
lonely
about shrubs? At
Stop by.
Oh, the excitement doesn't happen till
the
after.
end,
Where do you want?
Stick around.
Right.
shrubs on the property line to camouflage, what's the right word?
Distract from the parkscape.
What, an installation of shrubs?
To screen the new driveway.
Screen the new drive. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want big stuff because that'll just.
Thanks, John.
No problem.
Okay, where is it?
Oh, we finished with that. You're okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
While after he spoke, was there anything on the public?
No, nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Mary Ann, you have a resolution?
Yes. Whereas in March 2022, Catherine and Frederick Lark received site development plan approval to construct an addition and pool and expand the driveway at their house at 39 Beechwood Road. On March 25th, the applicants received a variance from this, March 25th, 2022. The applicants received a variance from the zoning board of appeals for the improvements, which variance is expired because the work was not commenced within 1 year, and I cite the zoning compliance. And whereas in September 2023, applicants applied to make several modifications to the site plan, including modifying slightly the footprint of the house and rear patio, adding a stairway, reducing the size of the pool, moving a retaining wall, and other minor changes.
Right, so.
And whereas I'll write it in.
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
write it in when
Yeah.
it comes here, so it's the same, okay? And whereas Han Engineering reviewed the plans and in a memorandum dated September 5th, listed a number of issues which were addressed in the subsequent submission. Planning board held a public hearing on the application on September 6th and October 4th, 2023. The action is type 2 action under SECRA and therefore requires no environmental review. Now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for revised site development plan approval of the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled Lark Residence prepared by Ferguson Malone Architecture, and then a long list of sheets. And the drawings entitled Proposed Additions and Alterations prepared by Hudson Engineering and Consulting, subject to receiving variances from the ZBA for coverage and pool location and installation of shrubs to screen the new driveway.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, John, thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you very
for.
much.
Okay, moving on to number 6. 2020-24, 34 Lewis Road.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I'm hoping you can hear me and see me.
Yes,
Can I share screen?
a good idea.
Okay. Okay, so this is 34 Lewis Road. We've been I think we've got most of the stuff worked out, but I know there were several questions at the last meeting. And what I'll do
Excuse
is
me, Patty.
try and-
Patty.
Yeah.
I don't recall you saying your name and who you're representing.
Sorry about that. Patty Steinschneider, representing Catherine Devens and Robert Porty, the owners of 34 Lewis. And I'm not going to go over a lot of this stuff because you've already seen it. Since the last meeting, we've accomplished a couple of things. We received the coverage variance from the zoning board. So that's taken care of. We've also gotten approval by the ARB of the railings and the stairs that were added to the house. But we have not yet gotten the ARB approval for the design of the stairs. I mean, of the fences. I know there were a couple of small items, I think, but that's really up to Doug and to Suzanne. Doug, the only comment Doug had was that there are requirements for having a well if they can make that work. I don't know that that's really a planning issue. They're going to have to either get the approval from the Department of Health for the well, or they're going to have to put the extension in the street to connect to the water line that's quite a distance. I think Suzanne's the only comment that Suzanne had pertaining basically to the fact that the planting that is to screen the utility pole doesn't show yet on the landscape architect's plan. It is showing on the on the site plan, and we'll make sure that that gets corrected so that it's showing that. And she recommends that no wall be within 32 inches of the is that 32 inches? I would think bigger. Oh, 8 feet, yes, okay, 8 feet. Within 8 feet of the tulip tree, which we certainly agree to, if not more. I think we're showing 10. So the only other thing I think that was a concern, if you can see this drawing, there was a lot of conversation about the way that the wall was positioned relative to the pathway, and that it was difficult to know what we were actually measuring to. So in the middle of this drawing, you can see the detail that we submitted that shows that property line. We're showing a 2-foot, 2'6" distance from the property line to the base of the stone wall. And then basically the dimensions of the stone wall and the railing. So originally we had 5 feet. I think we talked about doing it as small as 2 feet, and it just seemed that it kind of worked that if it was 2'6" from the property line to the wall, and then 2'6" at the base of the wall, we were 5 feet to the back of the wall from the property line. So hopefully that answers those questions of concern that we had. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to see, but that's up to you guys.
Concern was the concern that it wasn't accurately portrayed on the plans where the wall was going to be. And,
Right.
And we need confirmed dimensions or actual footage from fixed points as to where the wall is going to be.
Right.
And I
Well,
think
this does that.
Was that explanation of pinning down the location of the wall so that it's not a floating wall and it winds up someplace where we're not expecting it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Could you, just to see it again, I know you have the rendering. If you could bring that up.
The renderings that show the planting.
That rendering, yes.
Yeah. So here's right now without the wall and the landscaping. Here's with the wall and the landscaping. Please ignore the railing having unequal spaces. It is a set dimension that's consistent all the way along. I'm not sure why that was drawn so interestingly. This is another one.
For anybody who's been up there, there's a string and then there's the wooden snow fence. So that
Right.
wall, the way you presented it in the dimensions that you gave, the back of that wall, the toe of the back of the wall is parallel or right on top of the string. The string is the back of that wall.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yep. So here's some more renderings showing the actual
Yeah, right.
landscaping in place with the wall and the fence. And I think it's gonna, I think it'll give plenty of screening. It'll provide privacy both for the homeowner and for people walking to Halsey Pond.
okay. Thank you. You want to add anything else?
Not unless you've got a question you want me to answer. I'm a man of
see.
few words.
Gloria?
So if I'm to understand correctly, the ARB did not approve the actual wall and fencing?
It's the
They
next
didn't,
step.
we misunderstood. There was kind of an adjustment on the ARB's agenda. Instead of meeting in August, they met the first week of September. And we assumed wrongly that the submission would be the following Monday.
Right,
But
so wait, so they haven't seen it yet, is what you're saying?
I don't know if they've looked at it. They have the drawings.
But you haven't been there to present yet?
That's correct. We've
Okay.
been to the architectural review board, but we
Yeah.
couldn't talk about the fence because of the timing.
Okay,
There was a little confusion when you said the ARB didn't approve it.
Right,
It
right.
sounded like they looked at it and didn't approve
right,
it.
right.
No, it's not that.
What's that base stone that you have?
It's the same stone that we've used everywhere else on the site for the retaining walls.
Uh-huh,
It's
okay.
real stone excavated at the site.
Yeah, I think it's just the picture that's thrown.
The picture is awful. I apologize.
All right, thank you.
I have no questions. Thank
I have no further. Mike?
No questions.
Sarah, anything from the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
There's people here. Anybody for this project? Mary Ann?
Whereas on December 2nd, 2020, Catherine Devens and Robert Porty received site development plan approval to demolish an existing house and construct a new single-family house and related improvements on their property. And whereas in June 2023, applicants applied to the planning board to include a different electrical layout and to construct a stone wall and fence along the public path to Halsey Pond. And whereas the stone wall exceeds permitted coverage and therefore requires a variance from the zoning board of appeals, which was granted on September 26, 2023. Han Engineering reviewed the plans. And then memoranda dated June 2nd, July 31st, and September 1st made several comments which were addressed in subsequent submissions. Suzanne Nolan, the village's landscape consultant, reviewed the plans and in memoranda dated June 5th, July 30th, and September 1st made several recommendations which were complied with. And whereas the planning board held a public hearing on the application on June 7th, August 2nd, September 6th, and October 4th. And whereas the planning board believes that the requested coverage variance is justified, even though this is new construction, because the stone wall makes a more attractive and clear demarcation between the applicant's property and the public path to Halsey Pond than would a simple fence, which would not require a variance. And whereas the action is a type 2 action under secret and therefore requires no environmental review, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board grants the application for site development plan approval for the improvements reflected in the drawings entitled proposed residence, Gavin Devens and Robert Porty, computer by Athens community development. She specified. And Devon Porty residence prepared by Aspect 120 landscape, the landscape architecture, subject to 1, complying with Han's September 29th, 2023 memorandum, locating 2, locating fence postings no closer than 8 feet to the trunk of the 32-inch tulip tree, and 3, planting 4 American holly shrubs at a 6-foot height to screen the proposed electric service.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I make a motion to approve the resolution as read.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Okay, you're all set. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you shortly.
Moving right along, number 7, 2023-28, 35 Main Street. Patty, you got to sign out.
I'm working on it.
I thought it was his fault. Well, we can't blame you.
Ever, ever.
Ever. Hey, Doug.
Good evening.
Good evening,
Hey,
everyone.
Cora.
Hey, Doug.
Hey, Lena.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Lino Sharetta with the law firm Blakely Platt and Schmidt on behalf of the applicant 180 East 94 LLC. And obviously we have Doug McClure on the application. Just a quick background. We were there here last month on site capacity. And we submitted, I guess, more detailed plans this evening as we're looking to go to zoning board at some point, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, for this project. And just a quick overview, this is 35 Main Street. We're looking to renovate the existing garage space into a 3-bedroom apartment. There are currently 5 apartments there now. We're looking to add an additional 3-bedroom apartment in that space. There's going to be no increase in footprint with respect to this project. Again, the existing structures will be where they will be, no footprint increase. And I know we will need variances for site capacity, also parking, and because we're going to 6 units, we are providing an affordable unit, and we are looking for a variance for the affordable unit size. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Doug just to go through that and just to give an update of what we did for this application.
that's
Lino
right.
also living on the first floor.
Yeah, first floor, correct. Sorry, missed that one.
Yeah.
So I'll turn it over to Doug so you can go fully, with the plan and just give you the update on what we did for this month.
Before you go to Doug, we have a question on the affordable housing.
Sure.
The affordable is, if we have it correct, is 463 feet. Proposed.
hold on one second. I have to double check that.
Well,
That sounds right.
and if according to the formula on installing an affordable unit, it should be 739, 80% of the average. Is that right? 80.
Yes.
Correct.
The affordable is half the size of what the code says it should be, approximately. And we think you should rethink that and make the affordable, and switch some units around, and it may be necessary to not have 6, I don't know, but to go with an affordable housing, I mean, 400 feet, that's like 23 feet by 20 feet by 20 feet. That's some people's walk-in closets are bigger than that.
Well, the issue with that, and we would have to talk to the client about that, it just becomes a financial issue. So there's, this is a one-bedroom apartment that's existing. You know, it becomes a financial calculation on their part. Am I correct in saying that, Lino?
That's correct.
Well, we're not, let me ask the rest of the board. Lori?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of a reduced affordable housing unit.
Dan?
I agree.
Michael?
No, neither am I. But especially without any presentation as to why.
So if you go to the zoning board for variances, one of the variants of which is to go with the smaller affordable housing, the 463-foot one, we would send a letter opposed to that.
Yeah, I think too, Mr. Chairman,
I don't think you'll get anything from the ZBA.
yeah, I think the other two, I mean, that's something we have to discuss with the client, but I think too, that is it's an existing one-bedroom apartment right now. And I think, you know, in terms of when that apartment becomes available, that was one we were looking at, because if I recall, there is a tenant there now. And I think that one is set to, you know, I think come off its tenancy at some point, sooner rather than later. So that was another reason why we were looking at that one as opposed to the others. But that's something, again, we can discuss that with our client.
Yes, you need to, because we're unanimous here that it's not going to be a go. Our comment to the ZBA would be no to that.
So we'll take that one back, but in terms of the others, is it okay if we can go through the other items on that? The parking.
What are you going to go? Yeah, but with? What are you going to go with the ZBA for the affordable?
Well, no, the affordable, we're gonna have to discuss it, Mr. Chairman. Again, we have to discuss that with our client to see what they want to do there. But I know we
But
also
then do
need,
you let-
Mary Ann, they can't go to the ZBA if we don't know what they're doing.
No, I would
Yeah.
say they could go to the ZBA on the other things, and then recognizing that they're gonna have to go back to the ZBA on the affordable one, but I don't think it's a bad idea to let them go to the ZBA because these are pretty big variants.
I mean, I think you should just write the letter.
Yeah,
And
okay.
and maybe the ZBA will, if everything else is working out, they can work that part out. with
Yeah,
the ZBA.
or they can also deal with the issue separately.
Yeah,
but
'cause
it's
there's so many
important-
issues
I think
here.
it's important that they go sooner rather than later, because
Okay.
these are some, I mean, the site capacity variance is very big.
Yes, it is.
And you
Six.
know, and the
parking
parking
is
is
a problem.
big, and the other one's a significant variance too, that the residence is not on the ground floor, so.
So that'll be the game plan. You go to the ZBA, we'll do our letter. That the board is not in favor of the small affordable. The below code small affordable unit. And see what happens. Like Mary Ann said, you may not get the 6 in the first place, or the parking. And let the ZBA with our recommendation work out what they want on the affordable.
yeah,
Okay,
that's something, and I appreciate that, Mary Ann, if that's something we can do, again, we'll discuss if we're gonna go forward on that, but you're right, I mean, right at this point, it's the ZBA that really has to determine whether or not they want to grant these variances that will allow the project currently as it's submitted before you, so
Right.
Maybe
Yeah, and then you got, after the ZBA, you gotta come back to us anyway.
Yep.
Because we'd like to see what it looks like from the outside. And you have view preservation, which is probably not an issue because you're not gonna touch the building, but.
Yeah, we're not touching the
Yeah.
building at all, other than some facade work, but in terms of the metrics, the building is staying the same. It's really mainly the outside facade and internally that we're doing the work. But like that footprint's gonna remain.
Doug, I'm sorry I interrupted you. You have any further to add? I think we.
Do you want me to
got
go
it.
through the plan? Or
I
are
don't think
you,
it's-
No, I would say at this point, it's premature until we find
Okay.
out the
Yeah.
project is involved. And then just do it all at once, the site plan issues.
Okay. Is that all right,
Okay.
Doug?
that's fine. That's fine by me.
Easy night for you, Doug.
Oh, I got another one coming up. That'll be more
All
difficult,
right.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you all.
Any-
So you'll refer us to the ZBA then? That's just to be clear?
You can go to the ZBA. We don't refer to the ZBA.
No.
You'll write a letter.
You'll have
You're
to
writing
write a
some
letter.
kind of a letter, though,
That's
yes?
to do with
Tuesday.
denial.
Yeah,
Okay,
You'll have a denial letter by Tuesday.
okay.
okay.
Great.
Thank you very
Any
much.
questions from you?
Thank you all. Have a good night. Thank you.
Wait, wait,
Go through the public.
Oh, I got, okay.
First, we have to go through the board.
My only question is, would you just take the affordable unit question off of your submission to zoning and go back to that, or you're gonna keep it on there?
I mean, that's, we
Yes.
don't know. We gotta really discuss that. It's a good question. I just don't have the answer to that this evening.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have no questions. I have no further questions.
Sarah, anything from the public out in the Zoom land?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, anybody in person? Please come up to the microphone.
Hi, David Zweibil. I live at 13 North Continent, village resident for many years, and I should probably know more of this procedure than I do.
Speak up a little, microphone.
But as I look at the plan, so you are saying at this point, the other issues are just delayed? Parking, facade, et cetera.
Yes, the parking, they need a variance from the parking because they don't meet the parking requirements now. And that's a ZBA issue, whether to grant a variance or not. And as well as the site capacity of the site is 2 and they want 6. So that's another variance. What are some of the other variances?
So those variances are not with you?
No,
No.
Okay.
no, and that you can't have, under the code, residential dwellings in the business district are supposed to be above the ground floor, so he needs a variance for location of that.
And that's all ZBT.
ZBA.
And ZBA.
Zoning board of.
So if I want to comment about those issues, I go to the zoning board.
Yes.
If you like, send a letter to Sarah, she'll get it to them ahead of time so they can read it.
Okay,
And I'll get you the denial letter when I write it and send it to them, so that it'll be outlined for you better.
great.
So you can understand what the deficiencies are in the code.
The other issue is, as I looked at the plans, I saw no details about what the facade changes are.
Well, we would be
listed.
interested, that's us.
Yes,
Doug, are you changing any change to the facade, what you see from the road?
quite a bit.
Yes. Yes, but we
Okay.
haven't obviously discussed that with you because of the bigger issues.
Right, that's gonna be minor compared to whether or not you get a variance for those bigger things.
Correct.
Okay, so that comes back to us to see the facade.
So
Whether we
if I
like-
question the facade treatment,
You might as well say what you want now. So when we look at the facade, if we ever get to that.
But knowing that it could change if
Yeah,
if the ZBA comes with different conditions for them. That's why
exactly.
we haven't looked at it, because it could be affected by what happens at ZBA.
Okay,
What we look at is to make sure anything new fits the character of the neighborhood,
that's why I'm standing here.
as opposed to what's there now.
Right. My concern is, this, project is in the historic district. And
Yes.
it is one of very, very, very few properties in the historic district that are not historic.
Right, it's not a contributing.
To put it mildly, it is, sticks out amongst even all the other buildings who are not contributing in that district.
It's certainly different.
It's certainly different. The other factor of concern is that in the historic district on Main Street, the commercial section of Main Street sort of is more above Continental Street than it is below. E.g., the buildings that are on Main Street, there are a number of them that are built to the sidewalk, flush, straight up. And then there are a number of houses that are set back in the historic district on Main Street. Some of the buildings were constructed that way, built right to the edge of the sidewalk. And are historic buildings. Others were hodgepodge additions that occurred in the time when zoning was less interested in paying attention to those types of things. This is one of those buildings. That remodeling that occurred back then is one extremely out of character with the other buildings on Main Street. And it was sort of stuck on the front of an existing house, which you can see the existing house on the third floor of the property. So there's a whole oddity going on there. As I see from the plans of the elevations that were presented, I'm not sure what they're changing, but what was obvious that was being changed was not really addressing that issue. It seemed to be more of like, well, there's a hole for a garage door here, so we'll just stick in a window. And it's not even the size of the window that's beside it. Again, looking a little bit of hodgepodge. I will note that on Cottonette Street, this is the only building on Cottonette that there is a building to the edge of the sidewalk. Every other building on both North and South Cottonette is set back from the sidewalk. So the idea of, well, I'm not sure, actually, maybe having it residential is better than having it be old funky garage doors there. That might be a nice idea. But it is certainly out of character with the neighborhood.
That's our concern,
Right.
keeping with the character of the neighborhood.
And so I noticed on the drawings also, there appears to be corners shown on the drawings that doesn't really exist now. I'm not sure whether they're adding that cornice or not. I'm not sure what the garage section that they're planning on taking over, that whole portion of the building is, I believe, a cement block building with stucco on it and a press block look. I would also like to indicate that what they are not showing on the building is the west elevation of that building, which is covered with tar paper / asbestos siding. Looks like brick, which is a little odd too. Not to belabor it, I'm concerned that if they are renovating this property, that at least we can get some visual improvement to the out of characterness of the property.
Agreed.
Okay. And just a quick note, I know about parking, which is not your issue, but that is a major concern. Right now, at this moment, we have the lovely Japanese restaurant that's been there for many years under different management. And parking hasn't been a major problem, partially because they don't have a big business. And if that restaurant changes hands, most likely it's going to be a restaurant again because it's hard to get new places for restaurants. And it becomes a popular restaurant, the parking could become a nightmare. So the idea,
You'll take a look at that.
right, okay,
And their argument will be that we're gonna add 2 spaces because the driveways are gonna go away.
well.
Yeah,
no,
we can have a
no.
long debate about that.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
They will try that out.
Well, normally you're going to take two spaces away from being the large space.
So that's not for us to
Right.
decide.
Right, exactly.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Doug, I assume you heard everything he said,
I did. So
keeping with the character of the neighborhood.
I fully understand. I was actually part of the writing of the historic district guidelines, so I'm pretty aware of them. That building was originally a stable, and so the openings currently reflect the original character of that building. The surfaces and materials we can obviously discuss going forward, but we weren't planning on changing the openings because they're the historic openings, and we were trying to reuse them in a way that reflected the original building while allowing it to adapt to a new use.
Okay, it's gonna be an issue. If you get all your variances, which we may never get to the character of the front of the building. But if we do, it has to meet, our concern. It
Yes.
was pretty much what the gentleman articulated at the microphone.
Okay.
Any further comment after we heard the gentleman, Lori?
No, just it's an opportunity for improvement.
Dan?
No further comments. Nothing further.
Did we get anything further on this Zoom?
No.
Okay. Okay, you have your work cut out. We will be writing, Ed will be writing what we talked about to the ZBA on the affordable size. Maybe we'll see you again, and if the ZBA doesn't do what you think they're gonna do
Hopefully down the road.
down the road. Okay, thank you very much for your appearance this evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for your input, Deb. That was 35 May. We're going to number 8, 2023-25. That's 10 Half Moon Lane.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They still want to come?
What?
They still want to.
They wanted to come.
So I assume you can see me again and hear me again.
Yeah,
And tonight, there's actually 2
The
people.
record doesn't know who you are, so please identify yourself.
I keep forgetting who I am. My name is Patty Steinschneider, principal of Gotham Design. And we are on this, we're representing Sushil and Laxmi Malhotra, the owners of the combination of 0 Half Moon and 10 Half Moon. They have owned the property for 35 years. They have decided to sell the property, downsize, and have a little bit more fun than maintaining that house and doing a lot of repair after the house was damaged in a storm event. So they're trying
You
to.
went over a long dissertation the last time.
Yeah.
And from my understanding, we didn't get anything back that we asked for, like demonstration that there was a subdivision approval. From my understanding of talking to the village people, to Mary Ann and Ed, that we did not get that. So you're free to make a short presentation without going through.
Yeah, I may be a little confused because we submitted a letter from the attorney who handled the transaction in 1988. And we've also brought Darius on board. He will introduce himself and he'll do most of the talking. I'm just going to show you what we submitted since last time. But he's provided you with some additional information. So I'll let him do that. Most of this stuff you saw before. This is the drawings that were done back when the work was all going on with the renovation and expansion of the existing house, permits, COs, the fact that the two lots show up independently in all the records of the town and the village. So that information is kind of all there. What we did last time, we treated it as a single parcel, assuming that if it wasn't subdivided, you'd want to know that information. So we did the slopes analysis, did the deductions, and came out with a calculation of 3.35 residential units, which gets rounded down to 3. Since then, what we've done is we've had two separate subdivisions prepared, or two separate surveys prepared with the steep slopes analysis, showing the two independent parcels and showing what the calculations are for those two independently. The 10 half moon is 1.81, that gets rounded to 1. The 0 half moon is 1.49, which also gets rounded to 1. So either way you cut it, the request that this is two building lots is supported by the calculations of coverage. One of the issues that came up was the fact that the way this was done in 1988, which Darius will speak about in a minute, did not include the filing of a plat map. And that what that really means, I think, of greatest concern, is expressed by the chair at the last meeting, is that while there is obviously water and sewer and all those kinds of things here, there's nothing that documented that as being reviewed by the Department of Health. So we're in what we've done basically is prepared a plat map for the subdivision. And I think that's about everything you need to hear from me, unless you have specific questions for me, but I'd love to have Darius take over.
Thank you, Patty. Mr. Chair, Darius Sheff, Azeta, attorneys for the Malholtras. Good evening, and members of the board. We did speak with your counsel. We did submit a letter indicating that there appeared to be two lots going back to as long as we could remember, submitted the letter from Mr. Mondello, who was the counsel at the time. That didn't prove to be sufficient. We did look at some old minutes, weren't able to find anything specifically by any of the boards, but we thought that what was submitted would be enough. We understand that's not the case with respect to the staff and the building inspector's interpretation. So we are now prepared to move forward with a subdivision application. Patty has prepared the preliminary layout of the lines that have been in existence for some time. So we want to move forward with that now in the quickest way possible. Our plan would be for lot 1 with the existing house would show a completely compliant lot, both in terms of setbacks, coverage, you name it. It's
Just for the purpose
compliant.
of the record, excuse me, just for the purpose, I thought lot 1 was the unoccupied.
I'm sorry, the lot with the existing house on it, I may be referring to 10.
The other one, the pool lot, maybe. That way.
Okay, I always thought the south lot was number 1. Okay.
I'll
So
refer
therefore,
to the house lot, the
north lot
current
will be
house
number
lot. Yeah. And then lot 2 would be the further south lot where the pool is currently on. So we want to move forward with that application before your board. We plan on submitting all the paperwork necessary in the next few days and be ready for your November meeting. The plan will be that we're not proposing to build any new houses now or tear down a house and prepare a site plan with it. It's just strictly going to be a subdivision application, indicating that it is, we believe, fully compliant, which your building inspector will look at and determine whether it is or not. But we believe it will be.
Is that okay, Mary Ann?
To submit a subdivision application, I think makes sense. Darius and I talked about that this afternoon. And it seems to make the most sense. To treat it all as one lot, which it looks like to us.
Mhm.
I think maybe, you know, I would, in my mind, whatever happened in 89 or 88, whatever that happened, the lots merged when the pool was built as accessory to the main house. So I think it's an operation of law, it merged. But anyway.
The legal use of the word merged.
Yeah, the, one
Yeah,
quick
but
point.
we don't even need to get into that because they've agreed that a subdivision makes sense, and I think that's the best way to handle it. I talked with Ed, and we both think that's the best way to handle this application.
We spoke and to skip over the site capacity.
That'll be part of the
That actually is the first part of subdivision approval.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll do that in
We'll
parallel.
do it, do it all as one application.
Okay, one quick question that I have, is there is, as has been pointed out, encroachment from one lot onto the other lot. I have spoken with the owner and he is willing to remove that if that helps the discussion.
Mary Ann? Is that an impediment if there's an encroachment?
From the pool lot to the house lot?
The house lot encroaches on the pool lot.
Yeah, as part of subdivision, that could be addressed in a resolution.
As a
Okay.
condition. As a
Yeah,
condition
don't
of
do
the
anything until you get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
So I don't start construction on the other house yet. Just teasing.
So what we would do, Mr. Chair, if okay, we would submit the application. I had just a question or two about the secret process. We will submit an EAF along with this. We see this as an unlisted action and foresee uncoordinated review. The only other, we believe, approval authority will be the Department of Health. So that's how we are planning on moving forward unless there's any different thought process from either the board or council or staff.
No, I think that makes sense.
Ed,
I think that makes sense.
Secret, yes, but we have to look at it, but I don't want to commit to yes or no.
I
Okay.
forget the secret. but We do the subdivision first, but we don't sign it until the county signs it, and then we sign it.
Yeah, that's like 2 steps down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a way down. Just make sure your submission's complete and, that there's no, misstatements in it or anything. If you want it done quickly, let's get a complete application. That's all.
That sounds good. Well, if possible, we'll submit one as soon as possible. If there's any comment, we'll send it to council and staff. If there's any questions, we can amend, but we don't foresee any issues, hopefully. And we'll have a proposed structure, residential building house on lot 2, the southern lot, for dimensional purposes to show that it complies with zoning.
You could put on there the building envelope. footprint of the
You've got
building.
it. It's like,
Okay,
Yeah, a
so
building
to
envelope, right.
be clear, If anybody's interested in the public, you're talking about subdividing the existing lot into 2 lots, a north and south lot, with the potential of a new building on the south lot.
Well, probably new building, it may be a new building on both lots. We're going to be selling the property, Mr. Chair, so they may knock down the house. We don't know exactly what the
No, we
plans
don't
are
know
for
that.
a buyer. Yeah. But there's yeah, you got it.
So the net result is there'll be 1 new additional house on Half Moon Lane.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay,
Wait, I need to modify, okay, let me just modify one thing that we were saying before is, when we said don't tear anything down. I'm assuming that you can draw the subdivision line, the lot line, so that the house is fully compliant with the setback. I'm concerned about the 1 setback. You'll be
Right.
able to meet the.
The line right now is compliant with the house, but it is not compliant with the way that the terrace has kind of grown a little bit over the years. So the solution there is to remove that terrace, leave the line. At this point, whatever the status of this is, it shows up in the town, it shows up on the village. So we're leaving the line where it is now, which was determined by what was the requirements for the house that's on the house lot.
I'm not asking that, but the line of the house is compliant.
Correct.
You might want to get a list of the whereases started to save some time at the next meeting. Like you'll remove the patio here, you might want to highlight it, move the pool, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Do you want to,
Well, it just
Yeah,
saves time in the public meeting if you start the list, that's all.
yeah, I liked your idea that it could be a condition that, if when this subdivision approved, either a variance has to be obtained for any encroachments into the setbacks, or they need to be removed prior to any,
I think the faster approach would be to show them in the conditions to be removed
Yeah.
and then go for
Okay.
variance. If you want to leave them and go to the ZBA before you get your approval for your subdivision, that's fine.
no, we may just remove them. Then it's probably
Yeah.
the best
Yeah.
thing to do.
We'll
But
have
as a condition, it's just, as a condition.
I would not make a variance.
No.
No, we don't want to go to the zoning board. We'd rather avoid that.
So the whereas is a great way to do it, and that makes it very clean.
The point is, Mary Ann, that by subdividing, you can't, it's inappropriate to have a house that's part of the subdivision to be in the side yard setback.
You can't approve it. One of the state law conditions for subdivision is that anything on the lots has to be.
In compliance.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, the thought process would be then to remove the existing patio that encroaches into the setback number one on lot one, the northern lot. Lot two has the existing pool on it. The plan wouldn't be to remove that, as that would get rather pricey, but what it would be, could it be a condition that any further development on lot two would require a removal of that all enhancement with a single family home, or removal of that pool? I mean, they could leave the pool on another home potentially.
Yeah,
or-
so I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I think
Or
make
they'll
it
merge.
make it a condition that it has to be included in the approval of these. You're going for a limited site development plan approval. You're not going for,
Well,
Yeah, leave it-
eventually they're gonna
just
come
make it a
in.
condition that it'll be removed prior to prior to the issuance of a building permit for that lot.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Yeah, that works for, okay,
They
that
might
makes
wanna
sense.
No, you're gonna make them remove the building.
No, but they might apply for it when they come for the new house.
Okay.
It gives them the
They could
opportunity to
utilize
apply
it.
for it
Okay.
when they come for
I
the
do
new
have
house.
a question about subdivision and something I thought I heard Patty saying. In that there's evidence that these lots could support 3 sites.
That's it. That's the next,
Rebuilding.
that's at the next meeting.
Okay, because I'm hearing
Where-
that they,
Yeah, there's the determination of site capacity is a mathematical thing. It,
no, I understand that. So
we're
you
not
said this.
proposing 3.
No, you said it was 3. We didn't say anything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you said the site capacity is 3, but I'm hearing that you're going to look for a subdivision for
2.
2.
Correct.
That's
The-
correct.
The numbers are the numbers. We don't say it's 3. We have to show you the right numbers, and then we're saying what we're asking for is 2.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I
Just to
understood.
be clear, you may be right, but we didn't say we agree with you yet.
I don't remember ever saying you agreed with me, except maybe that I needed to make improvements to hay bales and silt fences.
We, just be clear that your calculations have not been verified. And in fact, Mary Ann went through great lengths saying we could not do a site capacity on a site that already has a house.
Can I ask a question that just so I understand it better?
Well, we went over this at least for a half hour. This meeting.
If I had a 10-acre piece of property with a great big beautiful house in the middle of it, and I wanted to subdivide the property into 4 parcels, would I not need to still do a site determination?
Make a submission, we'll give you the answer. $100 check as well.
We don't do
And a
hypothetical.
consultant, we might need a consultant escrow also.
I think Mary Ann made-
Answer, Patty.
Very,
Mary Ann
We
made-
We can do that, but
Mary Ann made it perfectly clear that we would not do a site capacity on a parcel of land that already has a house on it.
It's not that we won't do it. The code says site capacity is to be done on vacant land.
Right, so therefore, the code says we will not do it.
Mr. Chair, could I just be one
Moving right
question
along,
on that?
we're gonna move right along.
No, but could I just have one question, please, Mr. Chair, just quickly? So in order to do the subdivision now, the building inspector needs to determine if there's enough site capacity, essentially, that the lot is big
already
enough to
said that.
meet zoning.
We already
Right.
said that in the beginning of this discussion, as part of the subdivision application would do that with the site capacity. So we
Okay,
could
okay,
determine-
okay. Sorry, I might have missed that. I'm sorry.
We
Thank you,
discussed
Mr.
it
Chair.
in Parallel. Anything further?
No more questions.
No questions.
Michael,
Nothing further.
Sarah, anything in the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you,
And,
Mr. Chair.
See you
I think
later.
we got some clarity after this meeting. After last meeting, there was no clarity at all, but thank.
That's 'cause Darren knows what he's doing.
I'm going to take full credit for that, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
We're giving it to you.
But next
Good
time,
night,
if you
all.
wear a tie, we'll listen more closely.
You will, okay. Patty's got to wear one though. That's what I said.
I'm just dressed up. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
Seven,
Nine.
number 9, 84 Fargo Lawn. That's 2021 84 Fargo Lane. At 2021-40.
Good evening again. This is
Hi,
Douglas
Doug.
McClure. How are you doing? I am the architect for the McCarthys, which is a project you have seen before, but we have a lovely surprise. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay. So this is 84 Fargo Lane. I will start. This was the original site before we got our first approval from you. Our first approval was to add a deck and a little space below the deck, keeping these stairs where they were, keeping the patios where they were. We got the approvals for that. And then, for reasons I will not go into, we need to get an approval for reconfiguring the stairs, which is, oops, what's going on? Got it. Which are these stairs right here, making them into a little L. Adding an AC unit right here. And then the big thing that's happened is this corner of the lot has been very wet, and the client's landscape designer came in, and it says it's a rain garden. She calls it a swale. It's basically sort of a stone mulch to slow the water down and keep it from eroding everything. There's a lot of water that apparently that comes in this direction, and has been a problem on this site and the neighbor's site. And this was a way to make that a little better. Coverage wise, what that results in. So our original existing lot coverage was 2,342 square feet. So it was pre-existing non-conforming. Our proposed lot coverage that we got approved, there was really no change for that because it all happened over existing coverage. But our new coverage is 2,660 square feet. which is a bit of an increase, mostly because of the rain garden. And that's,
Wasn't there an addition to the patio?
no. No, the patio remained the same, and actually, it has been reduced somewhat during construction.
No, the coverage is the rain garden. We determined that.
Okay, there's no new patio that wasn't approved.
No, it's like a landing on the stairs. They've made the staircase bigger.
Yeah, the change in coverage is there's a slight reduction in the existing brick patio. The reconfigured stairs add a little bit of coverage. The HVAC unit adds 8 square feet of coverage. And then there's the rain garden, which adds 340, the swale, which adds 343 square feet of coverage.
The rain garden was the big chunk of the additional coverage.
Well, rain garden, it's a rock garden.
So, yeah, I'm just using the labeling he put on it.
And
yeah, that's actually what the surveyor put on it. I've had some back and forth with the landscape designer about this. She insists it's not a rain garden. She's calling it a swale. They didn't dig down and put in special soil for stuff. They just laid this, what she calls a stone mulch.
Is it a swale? Is it a swale or is it pile of rock? I mean, I just, because a combination of building materials clearly coverage.
It's coverage. That's what I've told her, Ed. It's coverage either way.
Is there any chance of getting it reduced to be a swale? More of a swale and less of a coverage?
Well, a swale would have, as I understand a swale, it's a reconfiguration of the contours.
Also, let me ask you.
Well, we've never counted dissipators and swales as coverage.
A
That's why-
swale is a channel that conveys water. Is this just for
Exactly.
erosion to stabilize a slope?
Well, I can.
It's
Here's-
it's like riprap in a way, just to stabilize the
Yeah.
slope.
So what I was told, they did not excavate existing soil. They simply created a low point that is about 18
Now,
inches.
We're gonna need more details on what this thing is.
Some photos of it.
And
Doug and I will.
That's fine.
Let's schedule a walkthrough with Doug and I. All
That's
right?
fine.
And early, not late, like early next week.
if
I
it's
just
for-
can't do it before Tuesday, Ed, because I have some zoning board submittals to put through. No, that's fine. Whatever works for you.
To give you some time to think about. That's a lot of coverage for a landscape feature, is what I'm saying.
I fully, believe me, I understand that. It is something I discussed with the client. It was a big surprise to me when it appeared on the site. And I would love to do a walkthrough with you, and I can show you all the information I have about it.
And we need to be convinced it's not a patio.
Oh, it's
Well,
certainly not a patio.
Because if
I
it
should-
walks like a duck, it's a duck. So if it
Yeah,
looks like a patio-
no. If you look at this, you will see it's not a patio. It's definitely not a patio.
Okay, and you work with Ed as to why it's there, and if it's really to do water, you can't just dump rocks on something to take care of water. Well, Doug and Ed will
We'll look at it, and if it's not what we think it is, we'll give you some ideas.
Sure. So
Okay.
I'll email you or call you tomorrow, and we can set something up.
Send an email, we'll figure it out. Give us a couple
Okay.
dates next week.
That's fine.
We'll pick one.
Sounds great.
All right, Doug. You mean you're busy with the zoning board? I don't understand that.
The denial letters only take like an hour and a half to write.
Yeah.
All right, Doug.
yeah.
Let me go through this. Any
All
further
right.
questions?
I have no
Yeah,
questions.
Stand up, stand by.
No questions on that.
No, Mike,
Nothing further.
Sarah, anything from the public?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
All right, Doug, thank you very much. I think you'll get it straightened out with Ed and
Yeah.
Doug.
Thank you
Thank
for your time, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Number 10, 2020-27, 90 Fargo Lane. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board and staff. Brad Schwartz from the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz, joined by John Malone, project architect. We represent the owners. John's going to lead most of the presentation tonight, walk the board through the recent submittal. And at the end of the presentation, we'd just like to talk to the board about process and next steps. And just to foreshadow for the board, what we're going to be asking tonight is to allow us to go to the zoning board to complete the variance application for the setback for the electrical panel that's in the front yard setback before coming to the planning board to hopefully close out this process next month. But we can talk about that at the end. John, I'll turn it to you to walk through the submission.
Thank you. Sure. So at the last meeting, we had a few comments that we have addressed. The site, we added topography to the architectural site plan. For the rear yard, we provided a cross section confirming that the drainage system in the lawn did not interact incorrectly with the stormwater system. We provided a distance from the face of the pole to the property line and a distance to the electrical box that was added to our architectural site plan, and I'll explain what happened there in a second. And the tree was removed, and I think we addressed the issue of the screening. Brad is going to be working with the DPW and the Board of Trustees if necessary to get the approval for the planting that we're proposing in the right of way. There's also, we did based on the discussion that we had with the board last week, we revised the note associated with the actual panel and the pole area to reduce the visual impact of the panel by painting it and reducing it to its minimum size. That was also picked up on the drawings. In terms of the comments that we received from Han in this last application, there were comments that were received today. The outstanding comments are requests to confirm the distances that we provided on the architectural site plan that were requested for both the box and the face of the pole. So we do have a survey, and those distances were developed based on a survey. We have an updated survey that shows those poles, and just quickly to explain to you guys why it wasn't submitted in the first round is when we asked the surveyor to provide distances, they provided distances that weren't what was requested by the board. So they provided a distance from the box, from the furthest point on the box to the property line, which is not obviously what the board asked. And they provided a distance from this other front box randomly from a point sort of a foot away from the property line, but not the point closest to the property line. So this information came to us very late in the application last time, and we had the CAD information and gave you those distances on our architectural site plan based on this survey. So what you're looking at now is the revised survey that provides the actual distances certified from the surveyor, showing that the face of the pole is 0.9 feet away from the property line, and that the face of the box is 0.04 from the property line. So, you know, really quite far away from the property line. Yeah, we're confirming that both the box and the pole are inside the property line. I reviewed this briefly with Ed today, so we can submit this as soon as you guys want as a hard copy to confirm both of those dimensions and how they were arrived on. I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like.
John, just The meter is on the street side of the pole or the meter is on the house side of the pole?
The meter's on the street side of the pole. And the furthest point is this corner of the box. So we asked them to, obviously, we took a few
Because it says pole
conversations.
face, it does, is the 0.9 inches. 0.9 inches?
No, it's a
Feet.
typo.
Feet.
It's 0.9.
Well, that says it.
I don't know why they use inches in the case that it's, I guess when they have a zero, they call out.
Can you get that? Okay, well, okay. So my question
It's
is,
been 3 tries, Ed, I swear to God.
yeah, no, look, I just want to know if the 0.9 is for the meter or the 0.9 for the pole face?
No, 0.9 is for the pole face. So the pole face is like a foot off.
Oh, how thick is the meter then?
The meter is like right on. It's 0.04. That's this one here.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah.
So they're using the word box.
Yeah, I've tried.
Yeah, that was a good. I saw this afternoon.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a chance to digest it.
Okay,
The glass.
because I saw you this morning and we were
I
talking.
didn't have it this morning. I jumped in the afternoon.
And you got, you needed approval from the village. You got that for the plantings on village property?
He's got a,
Brad Schwartz, sent me an agreement today that I just looked at quickly, but, it looked pretty good, but, we'll look at it.
Okay.
Take care of it.
And Ed, the coverage was fixed with the play set and all that. So we're done.
we're done.
Yes, you can go to the ZBA.
Right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. We appreciate that.
And you have to come back. Now, we don't have a resolution. Mary Ann, you have to come back.
No. We have to go to ZBA first.
Yeah.
We could have been further along if we had the survey and we had the agreement sooner. But
We don't have.
unfortunately, we had our pre-meeting before
We're
that.
not gonna lose a lot of time,
Yeah.
so we should be able to wrap it up for the next meeting.
Yeah, if everything goes right with the ZBA, it's.
Okay. Any comment, Lori?
No comment.
Nothing.
We should make them paint the box, the wood.
That's what
Oh, I did see it. It's Caesar, it's on there.
last time.
I drove by there a couple of days
No, it's
ago.
not painted yet. They're a little hesitant to paint it. Want to make sure you're okay with it.
What color is
Want
it?
you to approve
Is
the
it
color.
yellow?
Well, rest
It's
of
pink. It's pink. I thought pink was your color, so I went with pink.
Perfect.
Well, judging from the last time I saw you with an umbrella, pink is your color.
Oh, nice. No, but
One person saw that.
actually, Caesar, the drawings say that it's going to be painted green to match the winter color of the shrubs that are right here. So it's intended to camouflage it. That's the goal.
Dan,
No comments. Thank you.
Mike,
Nothing.
Sarah?
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
Okay, thank you both. And good luck at the ZBA. We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Terrific. Good night. Thank you.
Good night. There's 10. Going to number 11. 2023-30. 26 South Ferris Street.
All right.
Well,
Damn it. Oh, nothing to see.
Evening.
Okay, we can hear you.
Hi.
See you.
Evening, Matt Behrens. I am representing the applicant Wendy Talarico at 26 South Ferris Street. I will share my screen. So I'll start with the neighborhood aerial. So this application is for an addition in the historic district. It is on South Ferris Street. It is just south of the intersection of Home Place. The house is right here. This didn't print very well, but it's this first house just south of the intersection with Home Place. This is a street view. The house is right here. It is a contributing
structure in the historic district. It predates, I think, the 1900s or early 1900s. There have been some embellishments to it with the shutters and the gingerbread trim. But the application is for an addition that is in the rear of the house. So it's not really visible and doesn't impact the street view. I'll jump to the drawings. This is the site plan along South Ferris Street. There is a right-of-way easement along here. That will be the construction entrance. All of the excavation will be done by hand. I will update the notes per Han Engineering's comments. But what we are looking to do is to build a one-story addition with a basement. The total increase for the addition is 176 square feet. But with the elimination of the rear porch and the stair that go out to the deck, it's only a net add of about 20 square feet. I have received the comments from Han Engineering. They seem fairly generic. I think I have to get some clarity around some of the FAR calculations. And I believe that there were some comments about the tree. Oops, sorry. Second. This isn't moving. Apologies.
There's a village tree out front that you need to show and
Yes.
protect.
I saw that also. We'll pick that up. There's a large tree in the yard. I think it's a locust tree. So we'll update that to include some of the measures for root compaction as we get to the construction access and the site protection.
Well, when you mentioned root compaction, where you you got fill to remove, where is it going?
Well, there's really not a lot of excavation. It's only for the foundation footings. The new basement slab is at grade. So whatever excavation will remain on site. It'll be used for backfill and for any kind of site leveling that's required.
I think what we're looking for, Matt, is to make sure that none of that excess fill is used and put on the root zone because the tree is quite large. So we're expecting that there'll be no site grading, just backfilling, and the rest of the material will be removed.
Agreed, Ed, and I probably misspoke.
That's what we're expecting.
Yeah. So there won't be any regrading. It's really just going to be for backfilling. I get it.
And then remove excess soil without putting it on the roots or anyplace else.
Not a problem.
And you got drainage. Doug, you had a question about the identification of the roof leaders.
Yeah. Sorry. Before you jump in, Doug, I do have those located here. So there'll be a downspout along the back here on the south side and one on the north side. The current drainage.
Where do they go?
They're just going to go out to splash blocks onto the site.
Is that where the existing goes?
Correct. And right now, sorry, I don't know why this thing is toggling so slowly, but bear with me. So right now, the existing downspout right here spills onto a splash block, and there's gravel under the porch, and it kind of spills out onto the gravel. There are no downspouts on the south side. Existing.
Okay, you mentioned it's in a historic district and it's a contributing building, but the demolition doesn't rise to the level of that it needs special attention from the code.
Correct.
You are in the view preservation district, so you need to do some presentation that you're not that you satisfy that and that you're not creating a view obstacle, which you're probably not, but you need to demonstrate it.
Yep, I believe that was picked up in the Han Engineering comments too, so we'll add that.
Okay, do you have anything further to add?
I do not. It is like I said, it's a one-story addition, basically replacing the porch that's there in kind, except with an enclosed structure.
Now the variance, the coverage is going up. Do they need a variance for that?
Yes, with 2 side yard variances and a coverage variance.
And the far, they gotta be. It
The worksheet has to be corrected.
it has to be corrected, but
It has to
seems
be
okay.
corrected, but I believe we're under.
Okay, and you satisfied my question about access, and you gotta show the village tree that you're not gonna, protect it from whatever you're doing. The village tree up front.
Understood.
No
Lori?
questions.
I have no questions.
Mike,
No questions?
Sarah,
Nobody's raising their hand to speak and there are no comments in the chat.
okay, to move it along, we're okay if you go to the ZBA and then come back to us, with the final, with all these comments, buttoned up,
Will do.
okay?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Everybody okay? Yep. Okay, have a good night, and we'll see you after the ZBA.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, anything else? I think we're wrapping this up. Anything else, anybody?
No.
Okay, the Irvington Planning Board meeting of October 4th is closed. Thank you, everybody.